What's up, it's cinemashogun here, and do me a favor really quick. I want to hear from you all. You can pause the video or you can keep it playing, but I want to know your thoughts about this Kansas City Chiefs fans case down in the comments below. Because I am struggling to find anyone that believes Jordan Willis's story. Usually in these cases, you get a mixed bag. Don't get me wrong. It will lean one way or the other, but you at least find people with various different opinions and people on, both sides. But in this situation, I haven't heard from a single person that believes Jordan. I haven't heard from a single person that believes the story or the stories that he has told so far through his lawyer, of course. Hell, just to be honest, most people don't even think that this was an accident. They think that this was done on purpose. Now, personally, I believe that this was most likely an accident, but I do believe that Jordan had some type of role or he had some type of knowledge about what happened. And the more Jordan's story keeps changing, the more it looks as if he had a bigger role in this situation than some people think, including myself. And you have to remember that this case has been going on for weeks. So Jordan has had weeks to come up with the story. Jordan has had weeks to come up with an alibi. Jordan has had weeks to get this story straight, but he still can't get it straight. It's not like this situation happened yesterday and, immediately Jordan's lawyer is coming out with these excuses and it's all over the place because the story is just breaking. No, this story broke on January 9th. Weeks later, Jordan still can't get the details straight about what happened that night. And law enforcement isn't really saying anything either. The only thing law enforcement is really saying is that, there's no foul play here. They ruled out foul play in under 24 hours. Well before we knew what happened here, and we still don't know what happened here. But think about that. What is it, January 26th? We still don't have the full autopsy report. We don't have the toxicology report. There's so many questions unanswered, right? And this is January 26th. But by January 10th, by the end of the day on January 10th, law enforcement had already ruled out foul play before they even got any of the information that we're still waiting on to this day. And I think that's, I don't like that. But to take it one step further, even if you ruled out foul play, to just keep coming out here in the press, no foul play is involved, Jordan's innocent. It's like, y'all are like getting ahead of yourselves. And I don't want to say they're protecting Jordan, but at the same time, how many people in today's day and age would have gotten the benefit of the doubt that Jordan is getting right now? It's one thing for investigators to investigate and think that, I don't think foul play is involved here. It's another thing to just constantly be out there. No foul play, no foul play. We're not investigating this as a homicide at all. 100% we're not. It's like, damn. You're not giving these families the confidence that you're really looking into this case in the way that you should be. And just like I said, Jordan has had weeks to get his story together, but he can't. Jordan has also had weeks to maybe get rid of things. And the dude even picked up and moved That's how crazy this is. Jordan isn't even at the house anymore. Jordan already moved. So don't you think there could be some evidence, there could be something that goes missing along the way? Now, to be clear, like I said, we don't know if Jordan is guilty of anything. But looking at all of the details we have, it's not unreasonable to think that Jordan, at the very least, may have known that something happened to his friends. But earlier today, a forensic pathologist was actually on the news talking about this case, and I want to roll that clip really quickly. But first, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and go ahead and ring that notification bell so you can be notified of all of my videos. We got a lot of videos about this case coming today, and who knows what else I'll be talking about. So ring that notification bell. I'm going to roll this clip, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
Since 3 men were found dead outside of a Kansas City home, and their cause of death still remains a mystery this morning. Police say Ricky Johnson, David Harrington, and Clayton McGeeney were found dead on January 9th. But we're still awaiting the autopsy and toxicology reports that are expected to reveal how those men died. Joining me now is Dr. Priya Banerjee, board-certified forensic pathologist. Doctor, thanks for being with us. You know, we've talked to friends, we've talked to family members of these 3 men, but we have yet to speak to a doctor. So I'm curious, for starters, if this case came across your desk, I mean, what clues would you look for first to determine what happened to these men? What have been your biggest questions?
Yeah, my condolences to the families first. It's a tragic way to lose your loved ones. They were enjoying themselves like most of us during football season. So I think it's perplexing when there's 3 adult men that all die in one instance, if you will. And I think, anytime you approach a case where 3, healthy, otherwise functional people suddenly pass, you have to, first of all, rule out foul play. As far as I'm aware, the information that was released does say that there's no suspicion of foul play, which I think, from a medical perspective, it means that the autopsy didn't find any big injuries that caused their death. We always look for anything. So you think
they already have autopsy results? The public just hasn't been made aware of it?
So I think there are partial autopsy results that are, or prelim, I should say, that are available. So the no foul play really says that no significant injuries caused their death. That you can tell at autopsy right away, the day of autopsy. We check their head, neck, their entire body to make sure no one did anything to them. Then it becomes a question of things we can't see directly, and we need to wait for the other testing, such as toxicology. That's much more difficult in a autopsy setting than when we're alive. And so that's why it takes time. With the football game going on, was there any drinking, which is a normal social activity, but did it cause or contribute to their death? And then the investigation plays a very critical role. And then that's not something the medical examiner leads. That's a police-driven activity. We don't have the right as the ME to go question, individuals involved in the event. So all of that has to come together.
And I wanted to also add, we know that the Kansas City police ruled out foul play less than 24 hours after discovering the bodies on January 9th. I also wanted to ask you about the weather that night, because according to the National Weather Service, temperatures ranged from as high as 37 degrees to as low as 18 degrees from Sunday to Tuesday. And, the tenant's original story when police came to his house was that, my buddies froze to death in the backyard. Do you see that as plausible, doctor? And also, how could those cold temperatures impact the reports that we're waiting for?
Yeah, all very good points. So temperatures are critical in this case. Now, it's whether they caused or contributed to their death. I think it's known that the bodies were frozen when found. However, were they alive at the time, or was it like they were passed out, they were deceased outside and then froze? That's a very hard question to answer, and I think it's going to be very critical to sort of put all the puzzle pieces together, including the toxicology. Sometimes there's telltale signs at autopsy, but they're not always present sometimes. So we look for like little ulcers in the stomach that shows the body was under stress. But it's important to remember, just because the body's frozen does not mean that they froze to death. Okay, the temperatures are obviously very cold in the winter, and the exposure, we call it, to cold temperatures is a huge consideration in the entire story.
Well, we're certainly hoping that these reports will be made public soon and give us some definitive answers for the families piece as well, because many of them not believing that this, wasn't something sinister. Dr. Priya Banjeri, thank you so much.
So it's kind of like I was telling you all in previous videos. For law enforcement to rule out foul play this quickly, at the very least, I would assume that there's no like visible injuries or anything like that. Like there's not a broken neck, there's not, wounds from a gun or a knife or anything like that. But she says something interesting there, that, the medical examiners and the autopsies and all of that, it can only do so much. The medical examiners, they can't go out there and investigate this case. They can't go out there and question people. That's law enforcement's job. And this is my dilemma when it comes to this case, because who knows what the autopsy reports are going to say. I think some of us assume that there may be something in these guys' system, right? I think that's kind of safe to assume in this type of situation. But the story doesn't stop there. All of the questions aren't answered there. It takes two to tango. We need the autopsy report. We need the toxicology reports. We need the medical examiners to do their job, of course. But also, we need law enforcement to do their job. So regardless if the autopsy report and the toxicology reports come back, we have to rely on the second part. And that's investigators actually investigating and getting to the bottom of what happened. And I am not confident that they're going to do so, because they haven't been doing so thus far. And they haven't even been really talking to the families. They haven't been open. The families have complained that they haven't really talked to them that much about this case. So, autopsy, no autopsy, toxicology, no toxicology. In the grand scheme of things, that stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter that much if you don't have investigators doing their job as well. Because if the toxicology report comes back and we find out that there was something in these guys' system, how far is law enforcement going to go? Are they going to investigate and try to figure out who gave them this stuff, who sold them this stuff? Are they going to try to figure out if, Jordan was on the same stuff? The father said that Jordan hadn't been drug tested or tested for anything, and weeks have passed by. So I don't even know if they'll be able to figure out if Jordan consumed the same stuff that these three men did. And then you still have the question of, did something happen to these individuals, and did Jordan know what happened to them? Did Jordan drag their bodies outside? Were their bodies already outside and Jordan saw them? Why was Jordan MIA, not answering the phone and stuff for a couple of days? And why does his story keep changing? The autopsy results aren't going to answer that question. But as far as the freezing goes, I don't think anyone else believes that these guys just sat in their friend's backyard and froze to death, right? And to be real with you all, I know it's a possibility. Anything's possible. So it's possible they got really high or drunk and they passed out and they winded up freezing to death because, they were just knocked out. But I don't think that's the case either. I don't think they passed out outside and all three of these men passed out and just winded up freezing to death. I don't think that's the case either. I'm sorry to sound harsh here, but either these three individuals dropped dead outside from something and then their bodies winded up freezing, or they died in the house and Jordan or someone or something, somehow their bodies winded up getting outside. One without a coat. At least one that we know of. So we're going to have to figure out, was everyone's coats inside? Was everyone's cell phones and keys really in the house? These are details that you may have heard about in certain news articles. You may be hearing people talk about this or that. But you have to remember, law enforcement hasn't confirmed any of this stuff. All we know is that one father has stated that at least one coat was in the house. Everything else is kind of hearsay. And even the information that the parents are providing, it's information that I don't know if they fully know. You know what I mean? Because law enforcement hasn't been talking to them either. So even some of the information that's coming from the families, no offense to them, but we don't know where they got that information from. So this is just one of those situations where, you know, you wish law enforcement was doing their job, actually putting verified information out there, but they're not. It almost just seems like they're shying away from this case for some reason. It really feels like they are shying away from this case. But for now, I want to know your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think about what this lady had to say? Let me know your thoughts about that. While you're down there, if you're feeling generous, you can donate to the channel via Cash App. I'll have my Cash App in the pinned comment. You could also donate via Super Thanks or for free. You can help the channel by liking the video, subscribing, ringing the notification bell, all of that good stuff. But with that being said, I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.